What is up? Good morning. Yeah, it's morning time in the Central Time Zone. Uh, Lunchtime in the East Coast. So good afternoon or good morning, whatever pertains to you. And Herbert says, "How's the upcoming game between Duke and Virginia reshape the playoffs?" Well, this is an SEC show, but maybe we'll get to that at the end. All right. SEC. Can you believe we're already in November? Man, it seemed like yesterday. Week 1 was upon us. LSU played Clemson. Alabama played Florida State, and how different now the season is between those teams as it was after Week 1. We thought LSU was good. We thought Alabama sucked. It turned out to be the complete opposite. Complete and utter opposite. So, and plus Clemson's not as good as people thought at the beginning of the year. All right, in the SEC, we'll just go with the top teams, like the top 4 or 5 with like one loss, no losses. That's really all that really matters. So Texas A&M and Alabama are both undefeated in the SEC. A&M is 5-0, Bama's 5-0. Alabama has a tough game at Oklahoma coming up, and the Aggies go to Texas at the end of the year. So both these teams have tough games coming up. So so one of these teams is probably not going to be undefeated in the SEC. If I had to guess, it might be A&M, but that's just my guess. All right, then you got some teams with 1 losses. You got Georgia at 5-1, Ole Miss 5-1, and Texas at 4-1. So Texas has one more conference game to play than Georgia and Ole Miss, of course. Georgia plays Georgia Tech end of the year, and Ole Miss plays at Cream Puff this weekend. So that's why they're at 5-1 in the SEC, and Georgia's 5-1 because they still have one more non-con game to play than everybody else does. All right, let's look at the schedule in the SEC from last week, and then we'll. All right, week number 10. Oh, man. I got to redo it again. All right. There we go. All right. So we only had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 6 games to go over. First game we'll go over is Georgia and Florida. Florida had fired a coach the prior week. And they put Florida, they got the interim bump as they lost 24-20. As Florida late, and Florida had a chance to take the lead late in this game, but I'm sorry, because they led 2017, but it was 24-20. They had a chance to go down and take the lead, but they couldn't do that. But 24-20, Georgia wins. Let's look at the scoring. As Dylan Bell got the scoring first for Georgia, as they led 7-0. Then Florida comes back. Eugene Wilson with a touchdown, Trace Mack with a field goal. It was 10-7 Florida after 1 quarter of play. Florida played really well in this game. They got the interim bump, so to speak. All right, in the second quarter, only scoring was a field goal by the Georgia Bulldogs as Woodring gets a 39-yard field goal. It was 10-10 going into the halftime break. In the third quarter, you had a touchdown by Georgia, Noah Thomas. Then you had Jordan Ball with a touchdown for Florida with 17-17 tie game going to the fourth quarter. Then the Gators get a field goal, 54-yard field goal by Trace Mack, makes it 20-17. Then Georgia gets a touchdown with 4:36 to go as Chauncey Bowens gets a 36-yard run, and they win 24-20. So Georgia stays 5-1 in the SEC with that win. Florida falls 2-3 in the SEC. So Gunnar Stockton had 223 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Lagway 166 and a touchdown. Rushing yards, Bowens had 70 yards on the ground for the Bulldogs, 9 carries, a touchdown. Ball had 15 carries, 72 for Florida, and a touchdown. Receiving yards, Wilson had 121 on 9 receptions. He had a touchdown. Branch had 10 receptions for 112 for Georgia. Georgia did not get a sack in the game. Gumps Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Gumps. No, not Gumps, but Gums had 1 sack for the Gators. On the tackles, you had Allen with 13 and Castell with 11 for the Gators. And look at the line, as Georgia was favored by 6.5 points. They did not cover. The over/under was 50.5, and that was also not met. So you bet the under. If you took the Gators and the points, then you came out with some money in your pocket. All right, we got Ole Miss and South Carolina. Ole Miss trying to keep their playoff hopes alive, as they did just that, as they win 30-14. But Carolina Sellers got the scoring first. They led 7-0 in the first quarter, but then late in the first quarter, Ole Miss gets a field goal and a touchdown, and they led 10-7 after 1 quarter of play. In the second quarter, Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss gets a 15-yard run, puts the lead up to 10 points. Ole Miss led 17-7 over the Gamecocks. In the third quarter, there's Nick Harbor gets a 47-yard touchdown from Lenore Sellers, and right there was a 3-point game in the third quarter. But then that's all Carolina would score. They would never score again, as Canario gets a field goal for the Rebels, makes it 20-14, gets another one in the fourth quarter, and then a touchdown by Kewan Lacey, a 54-yard run, puts the final tally at 30-14 Ole Miss. So the Rebels are 5-1 in the SEC, 8-1 overall. Gamecocks, very disappointing season for South Carolina. A lot of pickers thought that they were going to maybe chance win 8 games, 9 games, 10 games. Get the season broke right for them, but yeah, they might be looking for a new coach, maybe, but I don't know who they're gonna get. I don't know who they're gonna get better in Shane Beamer, but anyway. All right, so Sellers had 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 3 for 180. Chambliss 159, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Lacey had 167 yards on the ground for Ole Miss on 24 carries. Man, I wish a certain other team had the capability of running the football like that. Faison had 12 carries for 52 for South Carolina. Harbor had 3 receptions and a touchdown for 69 yards. Alexander had 2 receptions for 52 for Ole Miss. Perkins had a sack and a half. He was leading sacker for the Rebels. He also had 6 tackles, 2 solo, and Smith had 8 tackles for the game. What's up, Randall? How you doing, man? How you doing, Randall? How you doing, man? You ready for the ready for the cold weather? Yeah, for like a day or two. All right, let's look at the point spread. Ole Miss was favored by 13.5. They covered that, but the over/under wasn't met. Over/under was 56.5, and so the over/under was not met. But the Rebels did cover the spread. Yeah, it's going to be chilly in a few days. Man, I mean, it's like brr. Man, why'd I do this? Why'd I do this again? Reverted back to the full schedule. I want this schedule. Here we go. All right, Texas and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt and Texas. This was Vanderbilt was down big. They came back late in the fourth quarter. Almost got an onside kick, but just too deep of a hole for Vanderbilt to come out of. If they would have come out a little more, a little more and not got behind so early, they maybe could have won this game. But they got down way too much on the road, as we'll look at. I think this was the first play of the game. It was Ryan Wingo had a 75-yard touchdown, and it was 7-0 Texas. Then they get a Shipley field goal, make it 10-0. Another touchdown. It was 17-0 after 1 quarter of play. I mean, Vanderbilt was dead after the first quarter. 17 points is really too much to come back from in the SEC, but they nearly almost did that. In the second quarter, Vanderbilt got a field goal from Brock Taylor, make it 17-3. Then the Longhorns gets another touchdown, as Wisner gets a touchdown, makes it 24-3. 1 second, be right back. Boy, you here. All right, sorry about that. Coming back. All right, where are we at here? Oh, yeah, so Wisner had a 4-yard run, make it 24-3 Longhorns. But then right before the halftime break, Stowers gets this 18-yard pass from Diego Pavia, and it was 24-10 Vanderbilt. But in the third quarter, the Longhorns scored 10 points to really put this game out of reach as they get a touchdown from Emmett Mosley and a field goal by Shipley. It was 34-10 going into the fourth quarter. But Vanderbilt came back in the fourth quarter as Pavia with a 25-yard run. Stowers gets a touchdown, and then with 33 seconds left, they get another touchdown by Richie Hoskins, and they almost got the onside kick, which would have made this game a lot more interesting at the end. But Texas does hold on. They win 34-31 as they go to 4-1 in the SEC. But Vanderbilt's still 7-2, 3-2 in the SEC. But what's up, Skeptical? What's up, man? Yeah, we'll preview that game in a minute. All right, so Pavia had 3 touchdowns, threw for 365. He also was leading ball carrier, 43 yards on the ground, 14 carries, and a touchdown. Stowers had 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns for Vanderbilt with 146. Man, look, man, Stowers, man, wouldn't he look good in with the Saints? We needed tight end to catch the football. Stowers would look really good with the Saints, man. Anyway, but Vanderbilt did not register a sack, and Sewell had 8 tackles. For the Longhorns, Manning had for 328, 3 touchdowns. Manning's played a lot better the last several weeks. He's never lived up to the Heisman talk that was put upon him in the preseason, which was probably just how preseason polls are and expectations. They really rarely pan out. But anyway, Manning's played much better as of late. Wisner had 18 carries for 75. Wingo had 2 receptions for 89 yards. Burke had 2 sacks. And Williams had 8 tackles for the Longhorns. And Texas. Yeah, Texas went from ranked to unranked, back to ranked. All right, Oklahoma and Tennessee. This was a good game, a late game on the ABC network. As Oklahoma wins 33-27. A lot of scoring in this game. As you see, the over under was hit at 55.5, and Oklahoma was they won the game. So they were underdogs by 2.5 points. So if you took Oklahoma to points, you win. All right, let's go. Let's look at the scoring plays. As Brandon Staley gets a 5-yard pass from Aguilar, it was 7-0 Tennessee. Oklahoma comes back with a 71-yard fumble recovery. Makes it 7-7 Oklahoma. Man, Tennessee was about to score again. Then they get a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So, man, kind of plagued Tennessee against Alabama. Then Gilbert gets a 45-yard field goal for the Volunteers. They led 10-7 after 1 quarter of play. In the second quarter, all the scoring was done by the Sooners. They get 3 field goals from Sandell from 55, 51, and 40. Oklahoma led 16-10 at the break. In the third quarter, we had two scores, one by each team. As Braylon Staley had a 54-yard touchdown from Aguilar. It was 17-16 Tennessee. And then Oklahoma gets a touchdown, 4-yard run from Xavier Robinson. They led 23-17 going to the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, as both everybody was all square in the fourth, each team scored 10. So now you can tell probably who won. But Tate Sandell had a 55-yard field goal. It was 26-17 Oklahoma. And then Tennessee comes back with Mike Matthews scores. It was 26-24. And then Oklahoma comes back, gets a touchdown with 1:44 to go as John Mateer gets a 1-yard run. They led 33-24. Tennessee adds a late field goal, but they were unable to get the onside kick. So Oklahoma wins 33-27. As Oklahoma's 3-2 in the SEC, Tennessee's 3-3. What's up? Bow down to LSU. So yeah, Oklahoma. Preseason. No, a lot of LSU fans thought Oklahoma was going to suck this year. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. All right, Mateer had 159 yards through the air, 1 interception. Robinson had 16 carries for 115. Let's see what Satigna had 6 receptions for 68. Thomas had a sack. and Heineke had 13 tackles for the Sooners. Over for the Volunteers is Aguilar threw 3 touchdowns but threw 2 interceptions, 393. And the leading ball carrier only ran about for 38 yards. Well, that looks very familiar. That rushing yard, 33, man. All right, so we got and then we had Matthews had 3 receptions for 76, and then Weathersby had a sack, and Farouk had 10 tackles for the Volunteers. All right, yeah, I picked Tennessee. Alrighty. Then we got, let's see. Ooh, 1 second. Hold on. Somebody's texting me. 1 second. Alright, I'm back now. Alright, so Mississippi State and Arkansas. Bulldogs get their first SEC win of the season as they win 38-35 over the Razorbacks. Razorbacks are 0-5 in the SEC, but they've been putting up some points since Pitt Boss got fired. But their defense is still bad. All right, we got so the Bulldogs. I'm sorry, Arkansas. They had Arkansas favored by 5.5 points, and that's a lot of points for 2 teams that were winless in the SEC. But Vegas got this wrong, as Mississippi State was underdogs. Of course, they won, so you bet Bulldogs plus 5.5. Of course, you win. And over-under was 66.5, and they did go over on that. And a lot of scoring in this game. Defense was optional. All right, so Booth had a touchdown for Mississippi State. They led 7-0 after the first quarter. In the second quarter was all Arkansas as Jones had a touchdown pass from Jalen Green. Then you had 2 field goals, one from 42, one from 30. Arkansas led 13-7 at the break. In the third quarter, so you can see the third quarter score was 15-14 Arkansas. As the Bulldogs got the scoring first in the third quarter. Anthony Evans had a 45-yard pass from Taylor. And then Arkansas comes back with 2 touchdowns. One from Taylor Green, one from Mike Washington. They led 28-14 with 6:18 to go in the third quarter. But late in the third quarter, the Bulldogs get a touchdown as Camario Taylor gets a 20-yard run. It was 28-21 Arkansas going into the final quarter. What's up, man? First win in 2 years for Mississippi State. I miss the old Pirate, man. What's up, Steve? I miss the old Pirate. I miss him, man. He was a really good character and coach. All right, in the fourth quarter, Arkansas and Mississippi State, and the Bulldogs outscored them 17-7. Arkansas did get a touchdown early in the fourth quarter. They led 35-21. Looked like Arkansas was going to get their first win in the SEC. But the Bulldogs get a touchdown from Booth, a field goal from Ferry, another touchdown late in the fourth quarter with 48 seconds to go. And the Bulldogs win 38-35 and get their first win in 2 years in the SEC. Man. All right, so Shapen had 2 touchdowns in the pit, 3 for 242. Taylor 6 carries for 55. Evans 5 receptions, 111 yards and 2 touchdowns for Mississippi State. Mitchell had a sack. Smith had 11 total tackles, 3 solo. Over for Arkansas, Green threw for 194 and a touchdown. Washington 116 on the ground, 19 carries. Sharp 84 yards and on 5 receptions. Lee had a sack and Shaw had 8 tackles for the Razorbacks. But yeah, all right. So we got going on here next. I didn't know about this game until I had totally forgotten this game even happened. But Kentucky, another team that got their first win in the SEC. Well, I thought was the worst team in the SEC, but they beat Auburn 10-3. So I had totally forgot this game even going on. But Auburn fired their coach after this. I mean, if you only score 3 points at home against Kentucky, maybe you should fire your coach. So this game really didn't was no offense at all. I mean, the over-under was 44.5. It didn't even come close to that. Auburn was favored by 11.5 points, so Vegas had this totally wrong. So, but yeah, we had a field goal in the second quarter by both teams, and then Kentucky gets a touchdown in the third quarter, and that was it. I mean, that was it. Two bad football teams, and Auburn just outsucked the other one. All right, so Boley had 1 touchdown, 2 picks for Kentucky through a 161. McGowan had 21 carries for 53 yards. Law had six receptions for 49 for Kentucky. Saunders a sack and a half. And Rayner had 8 tackles for the Wildcats. For Auburn, Daniels threw for 108 yards, 1 interception. Cobb 20 carries for 72. Coleman 5 receptions for 34. Williams with a sack. And Atkins had 8 tackles for Auburn. I mean, Auburn just has just really, they fell on some hard times. They used to have a really good. You can count on them always winning like 8-9 games a year. All right, here we go. Week number 11, and can we believe we're in week number 11? We're in week number 11 in the SEC. This is just blows my mind how fast the season just goes on and just breezes on by. All right, we got 1, 2, 3. We got 5 conference games and 1. Why is Ole Miss playing the Citadel in November? Just hope that. Thank goodness these games are going to go away next year. When we go to 9 conference games, hopefully they just get rid of these non-con games early in the year, and we have from end of September on we playing conference games anyway. All right, Georgia and Mississippi State. Georgia is a 9.5 point favorite on the road. Over-under is 56.5. As they don't have this game to pick, but on paper, Georgia should win this game. Look, when you go up there in Starkville with those cowbells, it's they've upset some teams before up there in Stark Vegas. But I don't think it's going to be. I don't think they're going to beat Georgia. This might be a closer game than 9.5. I mean, I would believe. I mean, if you told me that, I believe that. But I don't think Mississippi State's any kind of. I don't think they're really going to win this game. But this game might be closer than the experts think, as Lee Corso would say. All right, Ole Miss and the Citadel. Is there any reason to go over this game? Ole Miss is going to win this game. There's no point spread. That's how bad this game is. That's why this game even being played in November is crazy. But Ole Miss. All right. Then you got Texas A&M goes on the road to face Missouri. Now Missouri lost their quarterback, didn't they? So yeah, they lost their quarterback. So if they still had the guy with Pribula, this might be could be a little more closer game, but. With Missouri losing their quarterback, I don't think that they're going to have a chance to beat A&M on the even though they're at home. So, yeah, it's good for the Group of 5 schools because they get a check, but the games aren't fun, especially in November. I mean, get those games done, by September ends. Get it done by September ends, and. I mean, look, we're gonna have this. LSU's gonna have the same thing in a few weeks. We're playing Western Kentucky in a few weeks, which get that game done. Anyway, yeah. So Texas A&M should win this game. Missouri don't have their quarterback. 6.5 seems kind of. I think A&M's gonna beat this team by more than that. So that's I don't know. So, yeah, our schedules are soft in November. Especially, LSU play. We'll look at week 13 after this. So it's week 13, I believe. Is week 13. It's week 13. We'll look at that in a minute because there's more than one. There's like 3 or 4. I think there's 3 games that aren't conference games that week. All right, Auburn versus Vanderbilt. Well, Auburn just fired their coach. Are they gonna get the interim bump? As some teams think. I don't know. Vanderbilt still has Pavia. Vanderbilt's still they're still a good team. I don't. Auburn's offense is utter garbage, even though they fired their coach, whatever. But see, Vanderbilt's what 6.5-point favorites. This game will probably fall between 7 and 10. 7 and 10. I think Auburn might get that that interim bump, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. We got next here. Oh, there we go. Alabama and LSU. Well, of course, LSU just fired their coach. Bama's a 9.5-point favorite at home. And if Brian Kelly was the coach, if Brian Kelly was still coaching LSU, I would say take Alabama and just lay the points because LSU's they're not gonna be competitive at all. Now, without Brian Kelly is really a question mark of what's gonna happen. I think LSU will play better. I still don't think they're winning this football game. I still don't know how we're gonna run the football. I still don't know how. We can't run the football, and we still can't protect the quarterback. I don't think those things are going to change. I think you might see a little bit different effort from LSU, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Alabama's still going to win this game, but I think it's going to be closer than a 9.5. I think this thing might end up like 8 or 7, but I still think Alabama's winning this game. I just don't know how LSU is going to run the football and how they're going to protect the football. Nussmeier still? Is he still hurt? That hasn't changed. So I don't see how LSU is going to score enough points to beat Alabama. But all right, Kentucky and Florida. Yeah. Florida's only a 3.5-point favorite on the road to one of the worst teams in the SEC in Kentucky. One of the worst teams in the SEC is Kentucky, and Florida's really not far behind them. But I think Florida's better than Kentucky. So yeah. Alabama's not great stopping a run, but neither was Ole Miss, and we couldn't run the ball against them. So but. We'll see what happens with Joe Sloan. You might see some different play calls without Joe Sloan there. Hopefully. But I don't know. Well, it's a wild card. We have no idea what the offense is going to look like. It's going to look different without Sloan calling the plays. But getting back to this game, Florida and Kentucky. I guess I'll take Florida in a 3.5. Lay at 3.5. I just don't. Kentucky's bad, man. Kentucky's bad, and they're about to fire their coach. Bama wins by 10 or 14. Yeah, I think it might be like 8 or 7, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's like 10 or 14. But yeah, okay. Let's look at we're talking about these these cupcake games. It's week 13. LSU plays Western Kentucky. South Carolina plays Coastal Carolina. A&M plays Samford. Georgia plays Charlotte. Bama plays Eastern Illinois. Auburn plays Mercer. I mean, there's more than I thought. There's more crap games than I thought that week. In week number 13, second to last week in the SEC, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4 conference games. 4 conference games. 4 conference games. And the second to last week of the season in the SEC, we have, count them, 1 non-con game, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 non-conference games in week 13 in the SEC when you're supposed to be, gearing up for the playoffs. That's just, I don't know. I'm glad this is. Hopefully this just goes away next year. Hopefully next year this goes away. because this has been happening for a while now in the SEC. This week number 13, whatever you want to call it, the second to last season, you have all these crappy ass games that nobody cares about. Nobody cares about LSU Western Kentucky. Nobody cares about A&M and Samford, Georgia and Charlotte, Bama and Eastern Illinois, Auburn and Mercer, South Carolina, Coastal Carolina. Well, I don't know. That actually might be a good game. Coastal Carolina and South Carolina. That actually might be a good game. But other ones, they're just garbage. I mean, I just don't get why. It's got to go, man. This week, no. Hopefully next year, this week never happens again in the SEC. This should happen, September. But Alabama wasn't going to get LSU, LSU, Tennessee, and Auburn. So that wasn't going to happen. But all right, yeah, I got some things I got to do. But yeah, I wanted to get this done. I've been meaning to do this 2 days ago, and I gotta find a time to do this. It might be better for me to do this during the day, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday. But I wanted to get this done. I didn't do it last week, but yeah. So SEC race is shaping up. SEC race is shaping up. Let's look at the standings again. As SEC. As Texas A&M and Alabama are the only undefeated teams in the SEC, and there's a good chance. I mean, there's a chance that both these teams could lose again. Texas A&M plays Texas. Alabama plays Oklahoma. That's probably their toughest games left in the SEC. And if they all have 1 losses, then that opens up the door for a lot of teams. Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas with 1 loss. So this is going to be a really exciting end to the SEC football. But anyway, have a good one. We'll see you next time. And yeah, man. But thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you tomorrow for the LSU Alabama game. We'll see. No Brian Kelly, so I think our chances are better, but I still don't think we'll win. Have a good one.